YouTube Francs, it's Boba time. Welcome to a pre-release video covering details on our newest character based on his livestream demo reel / Hoyolab article, Kamisato Ayato. We'll have to pretend Tartak and Xingqiu fill in here for the head of the Kamisato clan. In this video, I'll be diving into a limited kit breakdown from the Hoyolab article, discussing potential weapons, artifacts, and brainstorming team building. This is not a full guide on the character. Official number breakdowns on Ayato have yet to be released, but we can extrapolate a little of what to expect based on his overarching design. Let's begin. But before we continue, I'd like to introduce the sponsor of this video, ExpressVPN. If you don't already know, using a VPN is key to protecting yourself on the internet. I've definitely been using the internet more than ever lately, and I'm sure most of you have too, and I'm using ExpressVPN to protect my privacy online. Whenever you are browsing the web, no matter if you're incognito or clearing your browser history, your internet service provider can not only see every web page you visit, but they may potentially take that data and sell it to advertisers. Luckily, ExpressVPN utilizes the best-in-class encryption. Whenever you are connected to ExpressVPN, every piece of data going in and out of your devices goes through a secure encrypted tunnel and cannot be seen. Additionally, ExpressVPN only uses premium servers, making your experience consistently faster than any other VPN provider. Also, when you protect yourself with ExpressVPN, you also have the added bonus of connecting to whatever region or country that you want, unlocking a multitude of content on different streaming services like Netflix, for example. Take control of your online freedom and find out how you can get 3 months of ExpressVPN for free by visiting expressvpn.com/Xlice, Xlice, or clicking the link in the description below. Now, back to the video. Quick rundown of Ayato's material prep revealed in his Hoyolab article. For level 80 and level 90, you'll need 26 to 46 dews from the Hydro Hypostasis, 108 to 168 Sakura Blooms, around 30 of each handguard, and 300 to 420,000 Mora. For his talent materials, about 20 more of each handguard, Inazuma Elegance talent scrolls, and the puppet hands from the Raiden Shogun Weekly. As of current recording, officially unknown what his Ascension stat is for cost-efficient investment of 80 out of 90. Talent priority will be mentioned later in the pre-release breakdown. Let's take a look at his talents. Normal attack, likely not going to be used too much, but it has an intricate N5 combo alongside what seems to be a multi-hit charge attack that has a mini thrust forward. His elemental skill, Kamisato Art Kyoka. Ayato first backsteps and enters the Taki Meguri Kanka state. I will shorthand this to TK state for future reference. When he backsteps, he leaves behind a watery illusion that either explodes if enemies are nearby or after its duration ends, which is currently unknown how long, dealing AoE hydro damage. In this TK state, Ayato's attacks become what are called Shinsuiken. These replace his normal attacks and become AoE hydro damage and cannot be overridden, meaning Bennett C6 can buff Ayato in this state without removing his hydro infusion. I anticipate that the TK state will have its separate multipliers for Shinsuiken that will probably scale off his elemental skill. It makes the most sense given design precedent from other characters. Things to note about his TK attacks. So they first stack this Namisen effect thing, which is additional HP scaling for his TK attacks. He has interruption resistance and can't use charge attacks or plunge attacks, making him purely normal attack during this state. TK state also expires on swap out or on elemental skill refresh, and with the refresh, the Namisen stacks start back at 0. Alright, my additional notes on his elemental skill. So his TK state attacks seem to generate 1 to 2 hydro particles from what I estimate every 2 seconds, which would follow other elemental skill particle generating speeds that are persistent. This TK state does require on-field time, which determines the value of this depending on the multipliers. Either can be DPS, hydro applier, or just an energy generator. However, energy generator is going to be pretty restrictive because unlike other characters who can generate this energy off-field, Ayato must be on-field. He loses this state when he swaps off. These Namisen stacks I will anticipate being extra scaling. There does not seem to be additional HP scaling for his kit, so view this as something extra like Yaemiko's elemental scaling or something. And then again, cannot be overridden means Bennett is possible to include, opening up more potential team comps. Elemental Burst, Kamisato Art Suiyu. This is basically a Hydro Ganyu burst. These blades deal AoE hydro damage on each proc with what I estimate to be identical to Ganyu's burst AI, meaning potential quadratic scaling on his burst damage with proper grouping from, for example, Venti. Also, characters within his burst AoE gain increased normal attack damage. From this article, we don't know the cost. Ganyu's burst is 60 energy on a 15-second cooldown, which could be templated here, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this as an 80 energy cost with a 20-second cooldown. And, not mentioned in the Hoyolab article, but mentioned in the livestream, we got brief glimpses of his passive talents. One of them is some granted Namisen stacks after his TK state illusion explodes, and the other is off-field energy generation reminiscent of C4 Kazuha, but numbers are unknown. Here's the VA himself explaining in this livestream segment.
Passive talent, Kamisato art Mine wo Matoishi Kiyotaki, which means lucid rapid spiraling the summit, in case you were wondering. With this talent, when Ayato uses his elemental skill and when the water illusion explodes, he will gain a set amount of Namisen stacks. After unlocking another passive talent, Kamisato art Michiyuku Hagetsu, if Ayato is not on the field and his energy is low, he will regenerate a set amount of energy at regular intervals.
So, that's what we got from both Livestream and Hoyolab pre-release sources. I think it's enough to make some general assessments on his gameplay design. We have off-field burst sub-DPS reminiscent of Ganyu possible. Attempts to utilize one of his passives to regain a bit of energy. Elemental skill is still advised to use during empty rotations for additional energy gain. His burst also increases normal attack damage within the field, which may be possible to utilize for certain team comps. And then going back to his elemental skill, which provides the on-field rotational main DPS. Depending on the multipliers and specifics of his Hydra application, can see him potentially slotting in where normally Tartag or Xingqiu would fit. Note, however, that Tartag and Xingqiu have kit mechanics that Ayato doesn't seem to have, so remain skeptical in this department. And because this TK state cannot be overridden, up to C6 Bennett can be used with him and doesn't interfere at all with this kit, opening up some preliminary pyro-oriented team comps. Based on these findings, he seems a bit split in design. On-field requirement for its elemental skill may come as a clutch for those that simply want to abuse the potential of his burst. This division between his burst capability and normal attack focus can be hard to fully utilize. Investment in Ayato's talents will likely be focused on his elemental skill and burst, which will probably be equalized in priority, unless one of them is obviously more powerful than the other. However, with this split design, he does have flexibility for multiple team comp archetype slot-ins like Freeze, Taser, or Pyro Enabler. We have yet to see. With his kit in mind, let's take a look at weapons that may be suitable for him. The new 5-star weapon coming out in 2.6, the Haren Geppaku Futsu, will in theory be the strongest choice as his signature weapon. I say in theory because we don't really know official details unless you've been dreaming, and because our 5-star sword roster is fairly strong. We already have weapons like Mistsplitter and Jade Cutter for the crit damage and crit rate 5-star weapon options, both of which, in my opinion, probably won't be too far off the Haren in overall stat increase and possibly even equal. These weapons are also super universal, benefiting both his TK stance playstyle and burst based. Other 5-star choices like Aquila Favonia with high base attack and attack percent from its passive, or Summit Shaper for the raw attack percent, or even Skyward Blade I can see being used without too much drawback. Or 4-star and below options. In my opinion, the Black Sword will likely be the most favorable weapon that synergizes the best with this kit. Unfortunately, it is locked behind the Battle Pass. For those without a 5-star Sasek or the Black Sword, Amenoma Kageuchi is always a fallback craftable option available for F2P/budget players. Standard attack percent secondary stat, alongside a flat energy recovery passive that Ayato can utilize. Now, weapons I'd be cautious of and for now don't recommend until confirmation. Festering Desire and Sacrificial Sword. These are the elemental skill-based weapons, which I know some of you may think would work on Ayato since his TK stance is activated via elemental skill. Based on the current Hoyolab article text describing his elemental skill, I don't think these weapons will benefit him because it's just like Tartag. And as always, if you'd like to opt for a 3-star weapon, Harbinger of Dawn is always available for backup. Just watch for Ayato's HP threshold for the weapon's passive crit rate. Now onto Ayato's artifacts. I think these are fairly clear-cut. For TK stance playstyle, we have old school Gladiator 4-piece providing universal 80% attack and 35% normal attack damage. Heart of Death 4-piece for 15% Hydro and 30% normal charged after elemental skill activation. And then the upcoming Echo set for 18% normal attack and then RNG normal attack ammo buffs. I feel that most of you guys will stick with Gladiator or Heart of Death since you probably already have those on 4-piece. In my opinion, this is the smarter and resin efficient decision to make over the Echo set. Then we have Burst Sub DPS with the standard 4-piece emblem set for the 20% recharge and recharge converted burst damage. We have old school 2 Noblesse and 2 Heart of Depth with the standard 20% burst and 50% hydro damage, and then the burst support for Noblesse build. For a mixture between these two, combine any of the following 2-piece sets. Gladiator, Shimenawa's, Echoes, Vermilion for the 18% attack. Then we have Heart of Depth, Noblesse, and Emblem for Hydro, Burst, and Recharge. Main stats for Ayato will likely follow 2 obvious DPS builds. First have Attack Hydro Crit, or we have Energy Recharge Hydro Crit, depending on his reliance for recharge. We will solidify what's best post-release in my complete guide. Alright, so as you all know, we can't really team build until the character is fully released, and we know the exact numbers behind their kit. And yes, I know you guys have really lovely dreams about upcoming details, but we gotta hold off here. Just from Ayato having a Ganyu-like burst, we can brainstorm around 3 potential compositions. First we have Freeze, with Ayato being the sole Hydro Glue. Depending on how strong his passive talent is at recovering energy, he either won't have too much energy issues or he might be energy starved, and may require his elemental skill for on-field time for energy. Then we have Taser Comp, with Ayato being the Hydro application for this. Same concerns as the Freeze Comp with regards to energy, because he most likely will be a solo Hydro applicator. Lastly, we have Pyro DPS with Ayato as a Hydro enabler. Think like the national team with Bennett Xiangling, but Ayato instead of Tartak or Xingqiu. This can possibly work depending on the fluidity of his Hydro application from his TK stance plus burst at the same time. Ayato doesn't have access to Riptide procs or Charge Attack like Tartak does for insane Hydro application, or off-field multiple hit strength from Xingqiu, so we'll have to see in-game what he pulls off here. These are pretty standard Hydro-oriented comps that we'll need to test out for full viability. Can't really suggest anything more until he's fully released. As for now, we can only really rely on RNG for artifact farming, and for dreamers out there, prepare his materials. That's all I'm confidently able to cover in this pre-release video for Ayato. Hope you guys enjoyed a little discussion on our upcoming boba drinker. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I regularly post a mixture of guides and personable content to the channel, so if you like what you see here, feel free to check out my other content. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.